In this lesson, we will talk about giving roles to ChatGPT and perspective prompting. They are techniques that go hand in hand, so we'll treat them both in this lesson. Let's start by giving roles. Let's go ahead and use one of the examples that we've used earlier, but by implementing the roles. Let's go, for example, with the grammatical correction example that we've used multiple times. This is a prompt that I usually use, and it allows me to prompt certain chats in a way so that I can have a list of chats that I can use when I have specific needs. And it basically works so that you give a prompt at the start of the chat, which says, in this case, act as a language tutor from now on. In this chat, I'm going to send you emails, messages, sentences, essays. I ask you to act as a language tutor and provide me with the grammatically correct version, explanation, and eventual vocabulary suggestions which would elevate my writing style. Once I send this message, ChatGPT is going to acknowledge this, and as you can see, it's language tutor assistance. I can even modify the name to correct my emails, for example, if I'll use this to correct my emails grammatically. And I can now go ahead and type in my message without having to prompt it. I can simply type in the message, copy and paste, or for example, let's use the sentence that we've used until now. So if I hit enter, that is going to correct the sentence for clarity and grammatical accuracy. And as you can see, it corrects it, and it explains with bullet points. And as you can see, it has acted as a language tutor. So I'm is the contraction of I am, which is the appropriate subject pronoun for yourself. That's what an English teacher would say. Learning is the present of the verb learn, indicating an ongoing action. About is a preposition indicating the subject or area of study. Prompt engineering is capitalized as it seems to be a specific field of topic you're studying. And as you can see, it also has an encouragement message. And the main point that I want you to take is that you can give any role to ChatGPT, and it is going to enhance its performance every time. So if I go on a new chat, for example, let's go ahead and type the same prompt, and in one chat I will not ask it to follow a certain role, and in another one I will, so that we can confront the different responses. So on one side, I'll say, act as a business coach. The sales of my e-commerce stores have lowered recently. How can I enhance them? So if you confront the two responses, let's start with the business coach one. As you can see, the first thing that it tells you is to analyze customer behavior. Utilize analytics tools to understand customer behaviors on your website. Look for patterns in browsing, shopping, cart abandonment, and purchase history. Understanding your customers' preferences and pain points can guide you in tailoring your offerings and marketing strategies. As you can see, it's an extremely precise and detailed answer which tells you to first understand what's the real problem. Look for the patterns in browsing, what's the shopping cart abandonment rate and the purchase history, all these kind of stats which will help you understand what's wrong. Then it says, optimize user experience, so that once you have understood what's the problem on your website, you can fix it, just like so. Then it talks about content marketing SEO. So once you have analyzed what's wrong with your website and you have fixed it, it's time to expand your reach. So you start going with content marketing, search engine optimization, high quality relevant content, etc., etc. It talks about target audience and search engine optimization. Then we have the idea of discounts and incentives to enhance the amount of sales. And it also talks about loyalty programs so that it incentivizes people to buy more. And then it also talks about limited time offers and free shipping and exclusive deals that create a sense of urgency, which motivates the customer to take action. And then it talks about customer engagement. So once again, analytics review and personalization. Then reviewing the pricing strategy compares to competitors, but adjusting it to remain competitive without compromising profitability. Then it talks about customer support and to offer multiple channels for communication such as live chat, email, phone support, etc. And then it also talks about KPIs, key performance indicators, such as conversion rates, average order value, and customer acquisition cost, so that you can understand what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right. And as you can see, this is an extremely well-studied response, crafted step by step to improve your e-com store as soon as you read this message. Instead, if we go on the message here without asking to be a business coach, as you can see, the response is a bit more broad and less defined and less precise. So here it talks about optimizing your website, so loads quickly, both desktop and mobile, all this kind of basic stuff. But once again, it doesn't talk about analyzing your customer data. So where should I even optimize my website? Am I going to improve my sales just by making it load quicker? That's not really a precise answer. And then if we go below, improve product descriptions and images, because it has a significant difference in converting visitors into customers. It says I should invest in professional photography and writing compelling product description that highlight benefits and features, which is something that surely is important, but maybe my problem is getting people on my website. I haven't tracked the data, so I can't really know if my problem is the conversion rate or attracting people on my website. And then it talks right away about customer service. However, this is something that you should do more at the end. As you can see, it talks about email marketing after customer service, but it's useless to prepare a customer service if you don't even have clients in the first place that visit your website. And then it talks about social media content. So once again, we have client acquisition, which is of course necessary, SEO, referral program, which is a good idea actually, that the business coach hadn't yet formulated. And then it talks about analyze data and metrics, and then it says stay competitive. But as you can see, let's compare, for example, this point with the one provided by the business coach right here. So if I look at this one first, as you can see, it says keep an eye on your competitor and the industry trends. Continuously innovate and adapt your strategies to stay ahead of the curve and meet the evolving needs of your customer. Well, this sentence doesn't really tell me much. I already know that I have to follow trends. Yes, that's true. But it's an abstract response. Like, it doesn't tell me that to follow the trends, I should go on TikTok and search a certain hashtag, or go on Instagram and search for a certain account. It's just really, really broad and just saying, make sure to innovate and adapt. But it doesn't tell you how. Instead, if you go to the business coach, it's way more precise. As you can see, it says, review your pricing strategy, action step, review your pricing strategy. It's already an action step. In comparison to competitors, so you can search competitors of your store which sell the same product or similar, and adjust pricing where necessary to remain competitive without compromising profitability. So it also gives you guidelines on how to review your pricing strategy. Consider dynamic pricing strategies based on demand, season, and market trends. So not only it gives some guidelines regarding profitability and competitor research, but also regarding the amount of demand, the season we are in, and the market trends, which is a way more precise answer than this one, as you can see. And that's why you should always give a role to GPT if it's relevant to what you're asking, of course. In this case, it was because I was asking how to boost my e-commerce sales. And now let's move on to perspective prompting. At the start of this lesson, I told you that perspective prompting and roles go hand in hand, and that's because with perspective prompting, you ask ChatGPT to impersonate a certain person, which is similar to the role. However, when you ask for a role, you're asking it to act as a business coach or a language tutor, something general. Instead, when it comes to perspective prompting, you're asking him to be someone way more specific. For example, I have received an email and I'm going to ask him to impersonate me or impersonate my client or to impersonate the one that sent the email. I'll give you, once again, a practical example so that you can understand right away. Let's go ahead now and type an hypothetical scenario where I am a video editor and there is someone that is interested in my services. So let's play out this scenario in GPT so that I can get an email to respond to this guy. So I'll go ahead and type the first prompt. There is a guy named Bob that has typed to me because he's interested in my services as a video editor. If this was a real scenario, I would simply copy and paste the email that Bob sent so that I don't have to type anything and I can just let GPT do his job. However, since this is a fictional scenario, I'll go ahead and type this. So we'll go ahead and say reply to him saying that I'm interested and I would love to set up a call to discuss the opportunity further. I have a spot on Monday from 6 to 6:30 p.m. Italian time. Respond politely, and when you say the time, also add the time in his time zone, which is American EST. So now I'll go ahead and hit enter. And as you can see, hey Bob, thanks a lot for reaching out. I'm thrilled to hear that you're interested in my video editing services. I'm definitely interested in discussing the opportunity further. How about we set up a call? I have a spot available on Monday, 6 to 6:30 p.m. Italian time, which would be this time in EST in the US. Does that work for you? Looking forward to chatting you. And as you can see, I have completely automated my email response just by outlining the context, or I could have done it simply by copy and pasting the email that he sent. And that's the power of perspective prompting. You can use it in any way to chat or also for active problem solving. So let's go ahead and take this scenario a step further. I've gone ahead and typed, I've sent the email to Bob and he has seen the email but didn't reply for 7 days. What could be the possible problems that caused him not to reply even if he was interested in the first place? Act as if you were Bob. Which problems did you find? So I'll go ahead and hit enter, and as you can see, it's going to say, as Bob, there could be several reasons why I didn't reply to your email, even though I was initially interested. Busy schedule. Perhaps I have other tasks and projects, and I'm postponing this email. I forgot. Technical issues. As you can see, there might have been some technical issues with the email account. Considering options. So he's considering various video editors at the same time, or changed plans. The priorities or requirements for the projects might have shifted, leading me to delay responding until I have a clearer idea of what I need. Regardless of the reason, it's important for me as Bob to follow up with Buzz. So I'll now take this again a step further and say, now act as Buzz. Considering these possible reasons, what's the next step you would take? So I'll go ahead and hit enter. And as you can see, it provides me with 4 things that ChatGPT would do. The first one is following up politely. In the follow-up email, it would also offer alternative ways to communicate if email isn't convenient for him. For example, I could suggest scheduling a call at a different time or even communicating via a different platform, such as phone call or video chat. And I would also be patient and understand that maybe has a valid reason for not responding. You're getting GPT's help in order to understand what problems could have caused him to not respond, what should you do, and basically problem solve this scenario. This can work in any kind of situation, any kind of communication, whether you're a student with a teacher, if you're at work with a colleague, a video editor with his clients, whatever it may be. Asking always for ChatGPT is always a good idea because it might provide insights that you haven't thought about. For example, I've had this scenario happen to me once and I haven't thought about the possibility of technical issues with the email. In fact, you could try to deliver the message in another way, for example, via Instagram or Twitter DM, and you're going to have a higher chance of responding. ChatGPT's opinion is always extremely good because it's completely rational. There are no emotions involved with ChatGPT, and when it comes to professional scenarios, acting rationally is one of the key things that you should do. I'll see you in the next lesson where I'll talk about personality prompting and descriptors.